Alright, what's up, YouTube? I'm gonna talk today. Well, I was gonna make another machine learning tutorial, but I'm kind of bored of that. So, I have this idea that I'm thinking about. I think it'll be cool. So, I guess I figured I would just brainstorm that idea on this video so I can see if it even makes sense to explain it out loud as a replacement for making another machine learning video. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. So in the Andre Karpathy and Dorkesh podcast, at the very end, he started talking about Eureka Labs, which is like his education startup thing. And I think it's a super cool idea, the fact that, like, okay, in a post-AGI world, theoretically, like, education is obviously going to change. Like, I think that's a no-brainer, but how? And one idea that he had was basically, like, learning things becomes more like going to the gym. Like, it's more of, like, just, like, something that you can do because you feel like it's good for you. Like, and it's, like, very easy, essentially. Like, anyone could essentially go to the gym and accomplish whatever goal that they have just by going to the gym. And I think certain parts of education will be very much like that. You know, like, obviously, like, theoretical physics, like, you want to be able to do experiments in labs and whatever, but, or, other things like require real resources to put in practice, like training huge language models or something. But, like, learning skills will obviously be a lot easier. Okay, so that's kind of the premise. And so actually for a long time, since like 2023, I've been thinking of like self-directed learning similarly. And back then there was something called, so it was basically in the context of like learning stuff like web development, which these days is like doesn't really exist because like that's the easiest thing for AI. It's like one of the first things AI can replace is web development, right? So there used to be this whole ecosystem of YouTube videos that would teach you basically like how to build this with this stack. And then you would like follow the YouTube video, maybe you would like code along with it. And you kind of just do that a bunch of times to learn how to do something. And obviously that was like kind of unsuccessful. So there were like other types of tutorials and courses and like this whole ecosystem for like how to teach you web development, because it was something that like it was very tractable to learn, not in school, because school didn't even teach you it because, well, it was kind of easy. And at the time you could get paid pretty well for knowing how to do it. So there was this whole ecosystem, which now I think is like almost obsolete because of LLMs. But if you're trying to learn, like, so it's more or less obsolete, but like if you really did want to learn how to use React, how to build full stack website, whatever, like it would kind of be, you'd still have to do kind of the same things. You have to go like read the docs. You have to like, now it's like ask ChatGPT how things work, like try and build something, ask ChatGPT, et cetera, et cetera. So you would go through like a similar loop if you actually wanted to learn something. And this loop is kind of the same as learning almost like anything. Like if you wanted to learn how to write smart contracts in Ethereum, or do differential equations, like these are all things that exist in some docs somewhere, and the docs might be textbooks depending on how academic it is. Okay, so that's like a huge backstory. But okay, now I want to talk about like what I'm thinking. So in theory, like if you have super smart AI systems, they'll be able to teach you anything as a personal tutor. Like I think that's a vision that like lots of people have. But you need like some framework to actually make this happen. There's like a couple of things you need to make this happen. Like you need to go from like a resource, like a textbook. Like you need to like, you can't rely on, obviously, on the LLM to memorize every topic of how that works. Because like I think the smarter the more bottlenecks are removed to AGI, the less memorization an LLM is going to have. Like, people are knowing the fact that like all these resources are out there that those are the resources that we trust. So you basically want to get a textbook into the context of the LLM, but then you also want to like the learning process is what matters. So I think one of the best ways to prove that you can learn something is to be able to teach it, especially with AI, right? Like taking a quiz is like, if it's a self-directed quiz, like maybe that's good, but I mean, I don't know if it will be successful. So I think one of the best ways to learn something is to be able to teach it. And I think this is one of the most AI resistant ways of doing that. So I think this is a core component of that. And then I also think that like the idea of a roadmap or like a tree of like how you learn something is like super important. And I want to build like a good UI for this because I think it would be really cool. And it's like if it's like composable across all of these topics, like so back in the web development day you had like let's see, so here's one for front end. This is like something that people like actually used to use, right? So this isn't gonna work. Let's see, I'll put this over the video maybe. So there's something called roadmap.sh, right? Where that was like a literal like tree of topics that you should learn and like links to learn each topic. And you would like basically just like start at the top and go down all the topics. And then after you're done with that roadmap, maybe there's like another roadmap. Like there's one for front end on this website, there's one for back end. And you like click the one that you want. And then you just like go like learn about it. And this is like this like it's not very good, especially in the LLM era, right? I think you want to build like a live version of this with some like new data structure to create these trees that is like useful context for the LLMs and something that can be like generated easily by the LLMs like as you're learning something, and it can be like personalized to you. But then like as everyone people are learning, then it updates, right? And other people can use the same thing as composable. And this is super high level, but it feels interesting because I think it's a totally correct assumption to make that like this type of workflow is like only gonna be more and more and more common. Like someone trying to self-teach something, it could be like a classic topic like probability, or it could be more nuanced or more specific, something random like like how Solana works or something like this. So I think there's something cool to think about. And I don't know how well I can explain it right now. I think I need to work on like the UI. I don't know, like a nice UI that people would like want to look at, rather than like okay, I'm gonna throw my whole textbook into like a ChatGPT clone and then ask questions or get it to ask questions to me. Like that's not gonna work. I think people understand that.